Okay, I just launched a brand new outreach system for my agency. And after about almost 100 outreaches, I felt like it was a flop. Like, I felt like it was going nowhere. The KPIs that I had set were completely missing the point. And the metrics weren't coming out the way that I anticipated they would. So, automatically, first, I made the mistake in thinking that it was already a failure, despite the fact that we had not yet hit the mark at which I had promised to make a judgment. But I realized that this is pretty normal, and this ties into why cold outreach for many agencies isn't working in 2025. And really, this is an evergreen principle. It's always going to apply. And it's largely because of one mistake that we made. But after I talk about the mistake, I'm going to go ahead and talk about the exact bottleneck I was facing and the way that I view the outreach system. And if you take this viewing and this same paradigm on board, you'll be able to see it the same way and fix your problems a lot easier. Okay. So the idea is with this system, we go out, we send a DM, and then people will see the DM and then they will respond. And at that point, when they respond, they're warm. And at that point, we go ahead, we can send them the link to get them into booking the calendar, and then we just keep it going from there. It's a pretty simple system. Now, the mistake that I was talking about that a lot of people make fundamentally is just really judging the system too early. And the problem here is that, it's all good me talk about it in theory, saying, hey, don't get emotionally attached to the data. Just let the data go and just focus on doing what you need to do, and hopefully the data falls into place. But the problem is, no matter what happens, you're still going to get a little bit emotionally attached to it. So the idea is, as I say, in theory, it's easy, but the idea is that we want to separate ourselves as much as possible. But as I said, I made the same mistake myself. I started judging it over less than 100 cent, whereas the metric or the point that I should actually be judging the system is around the 300 mark. 350 is the goal I was going for. Initially, I told myself when we get to 350, that's when I'll start looking into the metrics and see if something's going wrong. But I found myself doing that early because it didn't align with the anticipation that I had and the expectations that I had. So the first mistake that I had is that I expected it to work really well right away. I set these metrics, and although I considered, okay, well, it's the first time I'm launching this as a brand new system. So the first time that I'm launching it, it's not going to perform at the level that I want it to. So I took away a little bit. I gave myself a little bit of leeway, but not enough. Okay. What actually happened once we hit around the 140 mark approximately, I'm going to put a little image on the screen so you can see what it looks like. But we actually started smashing it with metrics. Like that positive response rate that we're getting is 8%, which is really, really high. I was thinking myself that if we got even a 6%, I would be happy. We got an 8%. As you can see on this image as well, we contacted 186 cold prospects, and only 73 of those actually saw the message. That there is a particular bottleneck in this system. Okay. If we look at the message seen and we look at the positive response rate, we see that people that actually see the message versus those that respond is very, very close. And that 8% positive response rate is actually really, really good, especially when we consider over 100% of the 100 people that we had contacted didn't even see the message. Okay. So that 8% positive response rate is actually based off the cold prospects that we contacted, not the 73 people that saw the message, which tells me two things. Firstly, that positive response rate is actually really, really good. Okay. We're looking for around a 60% seen rate. So people that get the message versus people that actually see it, I'm looking for around 60%. Right now, we're about half that. I think actually in this metric here that you see on the screen, it's even less. So the idea is that I realized right away that my positive response rate is actually really, really good. Okay. My main bottleneck, however, is not the response rate. It's the amount of people actually seeing the message in the first place. Okay. And this brings me on to the overall principle, the overall paradigm shift that I want to give you today, which is how you're looking at your outreach. Okay. Now you're a marketing agency. I run a marketing agency. We are marketers. And when we're running a Facebook ads campaign, a Google ads campaign, an email campaign, like whatever it is, it's the exact same as when we're doing outreach. What we need to realize when we're doing outreach is that the funnel still exists. Just like you would have cold, warm, hot, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, just like how you would have these things in an ad campaign, it's the exact same thing when you're doing your outreach. So for me in this scenario, initially I was looking at the positive response rate, and actually it was lower when I started judging it. As you can see on the screen, this is 186 people contacted. So when we were around the 100 mark or a little bit below, that positive response rate was really, really low. It was around 4%, okay? It doubled just as I contacted more people. And that's when I realized that the true bottleneck right now is the amount of people actually seeing the message, not the people that are going from message to turning into warm. That metric is really, really positive, okay? So again, when we're looking at this as a funnel, what we want to do is break down the funnel into these different segments, and with the segments come their own metrics, okay? So in this particular example, cold is the amount of people that we've reached out to. Message seen is obviously the amount of people that have actually seen the message. And then the positive response rate is the amount of people that have actually responded positively against the cold outreach, if that makes sense, okay? Once we have those three main metrics, we then break it down and figure out what is the percentage of people that we contacted versus saw it, okay? And that's a secondary metric. It's not the most important metric. The most important metrics are positive response rate, how many people asked for the calendar link, how many people booked in, and then how many people of those were qualified, okay? Those are the primary metrics that we're really looking for. And that qualification one is also like a bonus. But in terms of secondary metrics, what I do is I look at each stage and I look at what is the secondary metric of people going from one stage to the next, okay? So again, I'll make this really, really clear. The primary metric is stuff like positive response rate. But a secondary metric is out of the people that saw the message, how many of those people then became a warm prospect? That's a secondary metric, and that metric allowed me to figure out that the real issue here, the real bottleneck, is the the message seen issue, right? That was the issue here. That's the bottleneck. So now I can look at solving the real bottleneck, which is that not enough people are even opening the message in the first place. If I can get that to increase and get it up to the 30% or the 60% that I'm looking at, as opposed to the 30% that we're currently seeing, we're going to double that. And as long as we double it, that positive response rate, if it remains at 8%, perfect. But actually that 8% was probably going to go even higher when we can get more people to open the message. So again, the reason that cold email or cold outreach in general is not working right now is mostly because people judge the system too early. But secondly, and I would say arguably way more important, it's a systematic level. It's a systematic view that they're not looking at it as a funnel. That is the problem here, okay? If we start looking at outreach as a funnel, we track the metrics, and then we break those metrics into smaller metrics, then you're able to figure out exactly what the bottleneck is, and then you spend all your time working on that bottleneck. I know right now that the message that I'm sending people is working because of that 8% positive response rate. All I need to do now is get more people to see it, and then also look into tracking the other stages. I mean, we are tracking it, but looking into optimizing the other stages, because those are the bottlenecks right now. The 8% response rate, really, really good. If I get more people to see it, even better. Okay, and then it's going to trickle down. Then I can look at how many people requested the calendar link, and then versus that, how many people actually booked in a call. And then again, the secondary metric is how many percent of people went from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4. When I look at it as that funnel coming down, I realize that the top of the funnel is bottlenecked. Not enough people are even seeing the message in the first place. That is the bottleneck. If that top of the funnel starts like this, like really small, then it's small, so it's like already bottlenecked at the top. What happens when we open that bottleneck is that it opens up like this. More people come into the funnel. Gradually, as the funnel goes down, it is a funnel shape, so it goes down like this. But right now, it's like starting really small, coming out, and then coming back in like that. We don't want that. We want the top to be as wide as possible to allow more people in, because the system naturally, as the funnel, will come to a close. So those are the thoughts I wanted to share with you today. If you look at it differently in the way you're approaching your outreach, you will do a lot better. If you are a marketing agency and you're looking for a more consistent and predictable flow of qualified sales calls for your agency, and you would like to work with me one-on-one, click on the link down below. If not, that's totally okay. Just click subscribe instead. I'm going to be uploading these videos way more often going forward. And as you can see, they're packed with value. So just listen to these and you'll do very well. I'll see you in the next one.